to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. The Department of Justice has arrested former ABC News producer James Meek for transporting images of child pornography 9 months after the FBI raided his home and took several of his electronic devices. Meek, 53, a celebrated investigative reporter, resigned from the network via email just hours after heavily armed agents swooped on his penthouse apartment in Arlington, Virginia. In April, agents seized multiple devices allegedly containing evidence that Meek had transported images of child sex abuse, according to the Department of Justice. They go on to say that several of Meek's devices allegedly contain images of children engaging in sexually explicit activities, as well as sexually explicit conversations with people who expressed enthusiasm for the sexual abuse of children. He also kept backups of them on his hard drive. The DOJ adds that in 2 such conversations, a username believed to be associated with Meek received and distributed child sexual abuse materials through an internet-based messaging platform. Following the raid, the department obtained a search warrant for Meek's iCloud account on November 14th. They contained backups of 2 of his devices and included a screenshot of one of the explicit discussions. They also uncovered an Apple laptop that contained approximately 90 images and videos of child pornography. They were also able to uncover Snapchat and Instagram accounts that contained conversations and images of unidentified females alleged to be minors. He is charged with the transportation of child pornography using evidence stemming from that raid. If convicted, he faces a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison and a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. The April 27th swoop sparked fears Meek was being targeted for his trailblazing journalism, which has exposed shocking military cover-ups, friendly fire deaths, and foiled terror plots. The FBI's Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force led the investigation after a tip was sent to its Dropbox in March of 2021. That ultimately led to the now famous search of Meek's Arlington home last April by members of that task force. Meek was last seen in late October when DailyMail.com finally spotted him at his elderly mom's townhouse in McLean, Virginia, 15 minutes outside Washington, D.C. The divorced dad of 2 appeared to be keeping a low profile, parking his Chevy SUV several blocks from the property and ignoring questions as he slipped inside via a back door. He was still wearing his typical military-style getup, including an Army field jacket with an Afghan flag patch, backpack, aviator shades, and a keffiyeh scarf, a nod to Meek's celebrated dispatches from the front line in Afghanistan. In December, it was revealed the DOJ was charging the then-missing Emmy Award-winning ABC producer nearly 8 months after the FBI raided his home and took several of his electronic devices. Rolling Stone reported that an indictment was being prepared in connection to the pre-dawn raid and that nearly a dozen electronic devices had been taken from Meek's home. Independent observers believe the raid is among the first, and quite possibly the first, to be carried out on a journalist by the Biden administration. Read the bombshell report in Rolling Stone. The magazine alleged that agents spent 10 minutes inside Meek's top floor pad and found a laptop containing classified information, citing sources familiar with the matter, but friends and former colleagues of the popular, well-regarded reporter say that doesn't add up. They point out that a BC has not made any legal intervention, nor voiced its support for the star correspondent, who is said to have cited personal reasons for abruptly quitting after 9 successful years at the Alphabet Network. So let me just let y'all understand something. This person works for ABC. And this is the same organization that is going after TJ Holmes, right? A black man that is quote unquote having an affair with a white woman, and everybody wants to cause a ruckus, robbing robbers, and everybody else all across the board, all across the news, wants to have their input and want to have their say so specifically on a story because it's a black man with a white woman and he's having an affair with her, even though they're both having a consensual affair, right? Mind you, all of the people that work at these news organizations, they know what's happening at other news organizations. They stated that around November of 2021, they received information in a Dropbox that was given to them by unknown source. So they automatically started their investigation at that point. We're at the tail end, right? This is 2021. Remember, the tail end of 2021. So then months later, you go to 2022. where at the tail end you have around November, December-ish, roughly December-ish, you have this whole thing that's happening with TJ Holmes and the other girl, and you know, and the girl. And magically it blows up like wildfire. It's all over the place. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's putting input on it. The story is getting ran. And the main thing that I told y'all before, whenever I happen to do these stories, whenever there's a highly popular story and everybody's talking about it, there's some things out there that people are not highlighting, that they're trying to hide, and that they do not want people to know about or to talk about. So this is my question. This happened in 2021 with the Dropbox. And then in 2022, this is when they wanted to start going after him, prosecute him, and pretty much the dude has been, they wanted to start giving him charges, right? So he's been hiding, like laying low, and all these other types of things while this is going on. Where is Robin Roberts? Where is Robin Roberts at to talk about one of her colleagues, right, who has all of these awards, all of this great stuff, has done great things and covered and done documentaries? Where is she to speak on this? Because she had a lot of mouth when it came to TJ Holmes. Had a lot of mouth, had a lot of stuff to sit up there and say. Other people at ABC also had some stuff to say as well. And I'm trying to figure out, where is Megyn Kelly at? Other white girl that wanted to sit up there and open her mouth, and she wanted to start saying some stuff. Like I said, where are all of the news anchors that work for whatever these companies are? Where were y'all at to specifically talk about one of your your journalist colleagues doing this and having these conversations, having these informations? They stated that he wasn't working on no type of story. So why was he having these conversations with people? Why was he holding this information? What specifically was going on? What was going on? Why y'all don't want to talk about this? Why y'all don't want to highlight this? Ain't that interesting? But magically, y'all made sure to put up the TJ Holmes story in order to cover this up. Y'all did it so good and so well that nobody even knew that this was going on for quite some time. For quite some time. And there were other things that were also getting polarized by ABC, so that this does not become a story, so that this can, in a sense, lay low. I'm pretty sure the higher ups were having conversations with this dude, like, hey, you know, we're not, for you or against you. We're just telling you, for the best interest of the best interest, this is what you need to do. They're more than likely, they got people sitting up there talking to this dude that's associated with ABC, that's quote unquote not associated with ABC. They got people to do this stuff. That's low profile, to go have a conversation and meet up with these people, have secret rendezvous, to have conversations, paperwork, all this other. They got people. Because remember, it's about the brand at the end of the day. It's about the brand at the end of the day. And I'm pretty sure ABC is hoping that this will blow over, and they're hoping that, people will look at all of the good that he's done and they won't look at this. Now, I will say this, going on a half glass, half empty type of deal. What if, on a whole other note, because we've dealt with other things in media as well, what if the reason that he is, in a sense, being charged, and what if the reason that Dropbox incident, where the information was given by an anonymous source to the government, what if the information was given to stop him from doing a report that was potentially going to uncover something a lot larger that dealt with children? What if there's a potential shot, a chance, that he was working on a documentary or a story that was so big that he, in a sense, had to go undercover in order to get contacts, in order to show cookie crumbs from these social media platforms, in order to ensnare big fish? What if he had to do all of this? What if he has all of that information in order to potentially do a story that we've potentially never seen done? Now again, now again, They did sit up there and say that there is no evidence to show that he was doing a story. That's usually how it is. But also, I want people to pay attention to this. Pay attention to the fact that the government also seized his hard drives, his computers, and everything like that. So they have all of his information. If something is that important and he was going to do it, who's to say that the government didn't sit up there and erase the information, the important information? Who's to say? Because remember, this is the same guy that had all of these images. He had all these contacts. He had these conversations on backup. Pay attention. He didn't leave them just there. He had it on backup. And people usually have things on backup because they're going to create files. And remember, he is a journalistic reporter. So like I said, I'm trying to look at it from two different ways. I'm looking at it from the aspect of ABC wanting to protect their brand and themselves by way of putting a black man as the villain while protecting one of their own and making sure that that story never comes to light, well, at least up until later. Then I'm looking at it from the other aspect as which they stated, right? He is a journalist, award winning. He has done a lot of great work. And more than likely, he was doing a story that might have been getting a little bit, maybe Icarus was getting a little bit too close to the sun. So some people decided, like, hey, he is a great journalist. He does a lot of great work, but we can't have him doing this because he's getting a little bit too close to the light. He's doing something that doesn't need to be talked about, doesn't need to be highlighted. Nobody needs to know about. So we're going to have to burn him here. He's done a lot of great work, but this is where it stops. Like I said, I'm trying to look at it from both angles. I'm trying to see what specifically makes sense. And if I'm to culminate all of this, the one thing that makes sense is that you have entities, you have organizations out here, and a lot of those people that are part of these organizations, they are part of a variety of things. And when you have great or good journalists that are very good at what it is that they do, sometimes they bark up the wrong tree. Sometimes they're looking and digging in the dark and they end up finding gold where there really should not have been gold to begin with. And when those things are found, you have people that spot this and they want to send warnings. They want to let them know, like, yo, hey, you're getting a little bit too close. You're doing a little bit too much. You might want to cover that back up. I'm not going to do nothing to you, right? We're going to act like this never happened. But whatever you just found here, you might want to cover that back up. You might, for your best interest, you might want to just cover that back up. And we're going to let bygones be bygones. You never look back here. I never even saw you. It is what it is. Like I said, I feel like that more than likely what he was prying into very potentially was something that might have connected people that he works with and that he is under to something that is a lot larger. And they are using him at this moment in time, letting the story be known. They're using him at this moment in time to let other journalists know, don't go searching for information where people didn't ask you for the information to begin with.